So here is my reading of Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce, as best as I can do it justice. River run, past Eve and Adams, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and Enverins. Sir Tristram, violer d'amours, for over the short sea, had passing corps re-arrived from North America, on this side the scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor, to wield or fight his peninsulate war. Nor had Topsawyer's rocks by the stream Okanee exaggerated themselves to Lawrence County's gorgios, while they went doubling their mumper all the time. Nor a voice from a fire bellows, mish, mish, to Tauf, Tauf, Toward Petrick. Not yet, though vain soon after, had a kid scad but entered a bland old Isaac. Not yet, though all's fair in vanity, were saucy sasters wroth with twone Nathan Joe. Wrought a peck of pasmalt had Jem or Shen brewed by arc-light, and Rory end to the Regan brow was to be seen ringsome on the aquaface. The fall. Bababadal gararak taka minaronkon bron toneron ton thun trovar hon skon to dinner look. Of a once wall straight old par, it retailed early in bed and later on life down through all Christian minstrelsy. The great fall of the off-wall entailed at such short notice the shoot of Finnegan, erst solid man, that the Humpty Hill head of himself promptly sends an unquiring one well to the west in quest of his tumty-tum toes. And their upturned pike Pointon place is at the knock, out on the park, where oranges have been laid to rust upon the green since Devlin's first loved Livy. What clashes here of wills gen wants, ostrygods, gagging fishy gods, prick, kick, 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 quacks, quack, squawk, where the battle airs partisans are still out to Master Malachus McRains, and the Verdons catapulting the cannibalistics out of the white voice of Holyhead. Asia gates and boomerang stroms, sods broad be me fear, sang glory and save, arms appear with larms appalling, killy, killy, killy. Atto. What chance cuddlies, what castles aired and ventilated, what bid me to loves induced, by what to get at the absolvers. What true feeling for their hair, with what strong voice of false Jacob. Oh, hear how hath sproud met the dusk the father of fornicationists, but, oh, my shining stars and body, how hath fain spanned most high heaven the sky sign of soft advertisement. But was is ut, ere where source. The oaks of all now they lie in peat, yet elms leap where asks lay. Fall if you will, fall if you but will, rise. And none so soon either shall the farce for the nonce come to set down secular finish. Big Mr. Finnegan, of the stuttering hand, freeman's marrer, lived in the broadest way imaginable in his rushlit to Farbeck, for missuages before Joshua and Judges had given us numbers, or Helviticus committed Deuteronomy. One yesterday he sternly struck his teeth in a tub for to watch the future of his fates, but ere he swiftly stuck it out again by the might of Moses, the very water was evaporated, and all the Guinnesses had met their exodus, so that ought to show you what a punch and jolty chap he was. enduring mighty odd years, this man of hard cement and edifices in Tobersthorpe piled building supra building upon the banks for the livers of the sawing soul. He added little piffy, let's try that again. He added a little fifey, and he oaked the little crater, with her hair and horns tuck up your part in her. Oft while balbulous might her head, with goodly trowel and grasp, and ivor-oiled overalls, which she habitacularly fancied. Like Haroun Childeric Egerbirth, he would calculate the multiplicables, the altitude and multitude, until he saw by neat light of the liquor where twin 'twas born. His round-head staple of other days, to rise in undress masonry upstanding joy granted, a wall-worth of a skyscape, of most eyeful height and towerly, originating from next to nothing and celescalating the himmels and all, hierarchitecty-tipty-top loftical, with a burning bush above off its bauble top, and with lards of toolers clittering up, and tumbles of buckets clattering down. Of the first he was to bear arms in a name, Wassili Busilo of Reisenburg, his crest of heraldry, invert with ancillars, troublant, argent, a hegoak, poursuivant, horrid, horned, his scorchum fest, with archers strong, Helio of the second. Hooches for husbandman, handling his hoe. Ho, 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 Mr. Finn, you're going to be Mr. Finn again. Come day morn, and oh, you're vine. Sunday's eve, and you're vinegar. Ha, 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 Mr. Fun, you're going to be fined again. What then, agent-like, brought about that tragedy Thunder's Day, this municipal sin business? Our cube house still rocks as ear witness to the thunder of his Arafatas, but we hear also, through successive ages, that shabby chorus of uncalified muzzled missile hymns that would blackguardize the white stone ever turtled out of heaven. Stay us wherefore in our search for righteousness, O Sustainer, what time we rise, and when we take up to tooth-micking, before we lump down upon our leather bed, and in the night and at the fading of the stars. For a nod to the neighbour is better than wink to the wab Santi. Other ways, westways, like that provost scoffing Berenine, the Jebel and the Gypsian sea. Crop herd the crunch bracken shall decide. Then we'll know if the feast is a fly day. She has a gift of seek on sight, and she all casually answers helpers. The dreamy dearie, heed, heed. I may have been a misfired brick, as some say, or it might have been due to a collapsus of his back promises, as others looked at it. There extant by now 1,001 stories, all told of the same. But so sore did Abe ate Ivy's holy red apples, what with the Walhall's horrors of Rosewrights, Carhacks, Stonigans, Kissed Veins, Tramstrees, Fargaballers, Autokin, Hippo Hobblies, Street Fleets, Tawny Taxis, Megafogs, Circuses and Wordsmotes, and Basilicurks and Aeropagods, and the Hoist and the Jolly Brew, and the Peeler in the Court and the Meckleburg Bitch Bite at his ear, and the Merlin Burrow Borax at his 4 old porticots, the board of the moor, and his blight black working stacks at 12 pins a dozen, and the newbie buses sleighing along Safety First Street, and the Derry Jellybees snooping around Telno Taylor's corner, and the fumes and the hopes and the stroopy thump of his villas indigenous Rome creepers, home sweepers, Dome creepers thurm and fancy mud murmed, and all the uproar from all the off-rows. A roof for Bay and a reef for Hugh, but under their bridge suits Tony. One warning Phil, tippling full. How his howd filled heavy, his heart it did shake. There was a wall, of course, in erection. Dim, he stuttered from the ladder. Damn, he was dead. Dum, Master Batum, Master Batum. When a man marries, his lute is all long, for all the world to see. Shies? I should see. McCool, oh, why did ye die of a trying Thursday morning? Sobs they sighed at Finnegan's Christmas wake. Oh, the hooligans of the nation prostrated in their consternation, and their duodismally profusive plethora of ululation. There was plums and grooms and sheriffs and citherers and raiders and cinnamon too. And they all joined in with the shoutmost joviality, Agog and Magog and the round of them agrog, to the continuation of that celebration until Hannan Hunnigan's extermination. Some in can chorus, more can keening, billing him up and filling him down. He's stiff, but he's steady as Priam Olim. 'Twas he was the decent, gay labouring youth. Sharpen his pillow scone, tap up his beer. Where in the world would you hear such a din again? With their deep brow fundigs and their dusty fidelios, they laid him brown down a lang last bed, with a bocalypse of Finnegan for his feet, and a barrow load of Guinnesses o'er his head. Tea the tootle of the fluid, hang the twattle of the furrow. Hurrah! There is but young leave for the owl globe weaves in view, which is tautologically the same thing. Well, him a being so on the flounder of his bulk like an overgrown babeling, let we peep, see, at home. Well, CPG, ought he platter plate? From Shapolis to Bailiwick, or from Ashstone to Baranoth, or from by the banks to round the head, or from the foot of the bill to Ireglint's eye, he calmly extensorize. And all the way, from fjord to fjell, his bay winds oboes shall wail him rock bound. Haw, haw, haw. In swim, swum, and all the livy long night, the dell, dowpling night, the night of blurry bells, her flit a flute in tricky trockies. Oh, Carina, wake him. With her Esavans, and her Parajack Martins about all them ins and ouses, telling a tale of a tum, telling a toll of a teary-turty tobbling. Grace before glutton, for what we are gives a gross if we are about to believe. So pour the beg and pass the kiss for cross sake. Amen. So sighs. Grandpuppus has fallen down, but Grinny spreads the board. Wes on the joist, Wes on the joint of a dish, Fiend fall from the fush, Wes be his bacon head, a loaf of Sing Pantry's Kennedy bread, and Wes hitched to the hop in his tail, a glass of Dano O'Donnell's famous old Dublin ale. But lo, as you would quaff off his fraud stuff and sink teeth through that pith of a flower-white body, behold of him as behemoth, for he is no hemo. Finish! Only a photograph of a yestern scene, almost rubicund, psalm of Salar, ancient from out the ages of the Agapimenides. He is swollen in our midst, woe becanned and packed away, so that mir's dead off for somen schluck schleiss in good rittering.
Yet may we not see still the Brontoicthian form outlined as slumbered, even in our own night time by the sedge of the travelling stream that Bronto loved and Bronto has a lien on. Hic cubed edilis, apo libertinan parvula. What if she be in flags or flitters, reeky rags or Sunday choisies? What if, with a mint of minds, or beggar a penny white? At a shore, we all love little Annie Rooney, or, we mean to say, love little Anna Rainey, when under her brella, mid-piddle, mid-puddle, she nanny goes, nancing by. Yo, Brontalone slaps your snores upon Ben Heather, and Seapool so too. The crannic head on him, caster of his reasons, Pier Yonther in Mon mist. Hooth! His clay feet, swarded in verdy grass, stick up stark where he last fell on him. By the mund of the magazine wall, where our Maggie seen all, with her sister in shawl, while over against his bells alliance, behind ill 60, all aloud bagsides of the fort, bomb, tarabomb, look the ambushes, the sight of the living in wait, the upjack in hockums. Hence, when the crowds roll by, Jamie, a proud's eye view is enjoyable of our moundings mass, now Wallenstone National Museum, with, in some greenish distance, the charmful Waterloo's country, and the two quite white vignettes, who here showed of themselves so gigglesomes mixed the foliages the pretties. Penetrators are permitted into the museum mound free. Welsh and the Paddy Patkinses, 1 shilling. Redis members, invalids of old guard, find pussy pram to sate the sort of their butt, for their passkey supply to the janitrix, the Mistress Kate. Tip. This way to the Moosey room. Mind your hats going in. Now yous are in the Wellington Moosey room. This is a Prussia's gun. This is a French. Tip. This is the flag of the Prussias, the cap and the saucer. This is the bullet that bing the flag of the Prussias. This is the French that fire on the bullet that bang the flag of the Prussias. Salus the cross gun. Up with your pike and fork. Tip. Bull's foot. Fine. This is the 111 hat of the Napoleon. Tip. Napoleon hat. This is the Wellington on his same white horse, the Cokenhape. This is the big Straughter Wellington, grand and magentic in his golden spurs, and his iron ducks, and his quarter brass woody shoes, and his magnate's garters, and his Bangkok's best, and Gollier's galoshes, and his Peloponnesian wartrus. This is his big, wide horse. Tip. This is the 3 Napoleon boy crouching down in the living dretch. This is an enemy-skilling English. This is a Scotter grey. This is a Davy stooping. This is the bog Napoleon, murdering the Napoleon beg. A Gallagher's argument. This is the petty Napoleon boy. That was neither bag nor bug. I say, touch your feet too much. Dirty McDyke and Harry O'Hurry, all of them, Arminus. This is Gillian Alps. This is Mont Tibble. This is Mont Tipsy. This is the Grand Mons Engine. This is the Crinoline of the Alps, hoping to shelter shock the 3 Napoleons. This is the Ginnies with their Leghorns fainting to read in their handmaid's book of strategy while making their war undecides the Wellington. The Ginnies is a cow in her hand, and the Ginnies is a rave in her hair, but the Wellington get the band up. This is big Wellington Memorial Telescope, wonder worker upsides the flanks of the Ginnies. 6 caliber horsepower. Tip. This is me Belchin sneaking his Philippi out of the most awful grimaced sunshot Cromwelly. Looted. This is the Ginny's Hastings dispatch to irrigate the Wellington. Dispatch in thin red lines cross the short front of me Belgium. Ya. Leaper Arthur, fair Syken, Field gaze thy tiny frow, hog acting nap. That was the tic-tacs of the ginnies for the Fontenoy, the Wellington. She. The ginnies is jilly sad in courting all the Napoleons. And the Napoleons is gone boycotting crazy unto the one Wellington. And the Wellington get the band up. This is bold Belgium, bonnet to Busby, breaking his secret word with a ball up to the ear of the Wellington. This is the Wellington's hero dispatch back, dispatch deployed on the regions rare of me Belgium, Salamanca. Aye, cherry ginnies, victory, you damn ferry on votre. Wellington. That was the first joke of Wellington tick for tack. He. This is me Belgium in the 12-mile cow hooks. Wheat, and stamp fort foremost, footing the camp for the ginnies. Drink a sip, for he's a sooner buy a Guinness than he'd stare a store stout. This is Russia's balls. This is a trench. This is misanthropes. This is cannon flutter with his papy nose. After his 100 days' indulgence, this is the blessed Tara's witters. This is ginnies in the bonny bon blooches. This is Napoleons in the rowdy houses. This is the Wellington by the splinters of Cork, order fire. Tonnerre, Beaucaire, play. This is Camory. This is Floodins. This is the Sophorenes in action. This is the Remobley. This is Packenburns. Almighty God. The artist to loose. This is Wellington cry. Brum, brum, cum, brum. This is Ginny's cry. Under weather, cold strip fin lambs. This is Ginny's rinning away to their Unstrelist down a bucker seals. With a nippy nip and a trippy so airy, with their hearts right there. Tip, this is me Belgium's, thank you, silver plate for the kitchen of crepes. In the cool of his canister, pour the pay. This is the Bismarck of the marathon merry of the ginnies they left behind. This is the Wellington brandishes same armorial telescope, Sophie Keepo, for his royal devotion on the runaway ginnies. Gambaris de la porca, de la veras femieras. This is the pettiest of the Napoleons, toffee thief, that spy on the Wellington from his big white horse, the Cape and Hope. Stonewall Wellington is an old Maxim Montrumani. Napoleon's is nice, hung bushelers. This is Hannah Hennessy, laughing aloud at the Wellington. This is Lipsig Dooley, creaking the funk from the Hennessy. This is the Hindu shimmer sin between the Dooley boy and the Hennessy. Tip. This is the Wixiod Wellington picket up the half of the three-foiled hat of Napoleon's from all the blunder filth. This is the Hindu waxing rangy mad for a bum shub. This is the Wellington hanking the half of the hat of the Napoleons up the tail of the buck side of his big white horse. Tip. That was the last joke of the Wellington. This is the same white horse of the Wellington, Copenhelp, waggling his tatter scrup with the half of a hat of Napoleon's to insult the Hindu sea boy. Nay, bullsrag, foul. This is the sea boy. Mater sharatas, up jumping, pump him, cry to the Wellington. Apocaru, poker your rap. This is the Wellington, born stable gentleman. Tinders his max bulge to the Kersigan shimmer shin. Sucker you stead. This is a do for him, sea boy. Blow the whole of the half of the hat of the Napoleons off the top of the tail on the back of his big wide horse. Tip. Bullseye. Game. How Copenhagen ended. This way to the museum. Mind your boots going out. Phew. What a warm time we were in there. But how keeling is here the airabouts. We know where she lives, but you must not tell anyone for the lamp of jiggle-lanthorn. It's a candle little hearths of a month and a one windies, down and down, high down and down, and numbered quaintly mine, and such reasonable weather too. The vagrant winds a waltz around the Piltdown, and on every blasted grant wind, and on every blasted nolly rock, if you can spot 50, I spy 4 more. There's that gnarly birdie gathering, a run a little, do a little, prie a little, pull a little, wipe a little, kicks a little, sever a little, eat a little, whine a little, ken a little, help a little, pelf a little, gnarly bird. A very tableland of bleak barred fields. Under his 7 Rothschilds lies one uproar. His glaive beside him, scud untorsed. Our pigeons pair are flown for north cliffs. The 3 of crows have flapped it suddenly, cracking of debarco to the cavarters of that sky, whence tribus answer, well, 'tis well. She never comes out when ton's on shower, or when ton's flash with his nixie girls, or when ton's blowing tomb cracks down the gales of Tond. No, noble, no, neblas on your live. Her will be too much afraid. Oh, bear me leg, and bind me rolling eyes, and all the deed in the woe. Fee, fo, fum, she just does hopes till by will be byes. Here, and it goes on to appear now. She comes, the peace bugle, the parody's bird, a perry-pot mother, a pringle pick in the island skippy, with pee-wee and pow-wows and beggy-baggy on her bicky-backy, with a flick-flask fleck-flinging its pixie-lighting packs, humorammy bows, picking here, pecking there, pussy, plunder pussy. It's the Armatidities tonight, motipucos, and to morn we wish for a muddy kismet to the minutia workers, and there's to be a gorge abstruse for happiness, child, or everywhere. Come, Nebo me, and Suso sing the day we Sally bright. She's borrowed the coucher's headlight, the better to pry. Who goes cute goes silker, and shoes around, and all spoiled goods go into her knapsack. Cartridges and rattling buttons, nappy spatties and flasks of all nations, clavicures and scapulars, maps, keys, and wood piles of halfpennies, and moon-led brooches with blood-stained breeks in 'em, Boston night garters, and masses of show-sets, and nickely knacks, and Fodor Michael, and a lugly parson of Kates, and howitzer muchiers, and midgers and maggots, ills and ells with lofts of toffs and plurs of bells, and the last sigh that came for the heart, Buckley, and the fairest sin the sun saw, that skirt, with kiss, Chris, cross, Chris, kiss, cross, under lives end, shrine. How beautiful, and how true to wife of her, when strangely forbidden to steal our historic presence from the past post-propheticals, so as to will make us all lordy heirs and lady maidesses of a pretty nice kettle of fruit. She is living in our midst of debt, and laughing through all plurs for us. Her birth is uncontrollable, with a naper on for her mask, and her sabots kicking areas. So Sir, so Sally, if you's ask me, and I sack you, ho, ho, gricks may rise and trousers fall, there being 2 sights for ever a picture. For in the byways of high Providence, that's what makes life's work leaving, and the world's a cell for sitters to sit in. Let young women run away with the story, and let young men talk smooth behind the butler's back. She knows her night's duty while Lum Tum sleeps. Did ye save anything? Says he. Did I what? With a grin, says she, and we all like married Anne because she is a mercenary. Though the length of the land lies under liquidation, flute, and there's ne'er a hair round or an eyebush on this glabrous face of her shruft water welter, she'll loan a vesta in Hyacinth peat and search the shores for cockles to heat, and she'll do all a turf woman can do to piff the business on. Paff! To puff the blaziness on. Puff, puff! And even if Humpty shall fall frumpty times as awkward again, in the beard's boo saloon of all our grand remonstrancers, there'll be eggs for the breckers come to mourn him, sunny side up with care. So true is it, that there wears a turnover the tay is wet too, and when you think you catch sight of a hind, make sure but you're cocked by a hen. Then as she is on her behaviourite job of quine and spandy, fruiting for firstlings and taking her tithe, we may take our review of the two mounds to see nothing of the himples here, as at elsewhere, by sixes and sevens, like so many Hegels and Collines, sit on a roont, scent-breeched and som-patrick, in their swish-a-wish satins and their taft tights, playing Wharton's Folly at a tree party on the Planco in the park. Stand up, Mickos, make strike for minnas. By orders, Nicholas Proud. We may see and hear nothing if we choose of the short-legged Bergens off Cork Hill, or the Bergamores of Arbour Hill, or the Bergambos of Summerhill, or the Bergencellis of Misery Hill, or the country boss Burgons of Constitution Hill, though every crowd has its several tones, and every trade has its clever mechanics, and each harmonical part has point of its own. Olaf's on the rise, and Ivor's on the lift, and Citric's places between them. But all there scraping along to sneeze out a likelihood that will solve life's rubulous rebus, hopping round his middle like kippers on a griddle, oh, and he lays dormant from the macroburg of Hold Hard to the microburg of P. La Poudre. Behold this sound of Irish sense. Really, here English might be seen, royally, 1 sovereign pun to pottery pence. Really, the silence speaks the scene. Fake. So, this is Duobela. Hush. Caution. Echo. How charmingly exquisite. It reminds you of the outwashed engravure that we used to be blurring on the blotch wall of his inkempt house. Used they? I am sure that tiring Chabel's shoveler with the musical chocolate box, Mary Mitchell, is listening. I say, the remains of the outworn gravenure, where used to be blurred the ptolmens of the incubus. Used we? He is only pretending to be struggling at the jubilee harp from a second existed listener, fiery verily. It is well known. Look for himself and see the old but new Dublin, WKOO. Here, by the mausoleum wall, fim, 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 with a grand fun for all, fum, 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 fum. 'Tis optophone which entrefains, list, Wheatstone's magic lyre. They will be tuggling forever. They will be lichening for Olaf. They will be pre-tumbling for over. The harp's discord shall be theirs for Olaf's. 4 things, therefore, saith our hereditary mammon Lugius in his grand old Historiorum, wrote in Arboreorum, bluest book in Bale's Annals, F.T. indifferenarski ne'er sal foul that hither smoke in Klaus wield. that heather smoke and cloudweed ires il salpow. And here now they are, the fear of 'em, tea totties unum adar. A Bourbon boss surmounted up on the outerman, aye, dome, nizam. A shoe on a pure road wobbin, aho, triumph, Tammuz. An auburn maid, O'Brien a bride, to be deserted. Ah dear, colibus, marches van. A pen no weightier nor a pole post, and so, and all, sucketh. So, how idlers win turning pages on pages, as innocents with Anacrete play Popeye anti-pop. The leaves of the living in the bulk of the deeds, annals of themselves timing the cycles of events grand and national, bring facile-wise to pass how. 1132 A.D. Men like ants or emmets wandern upon a groot wide walfisk which lay in a rummel. Blubby wares up at Ubelanium. 566 A.D. On Balfire's night of this year, after deluge, a crone that had a wicked kish for to hail dead turves from the bog looketh under the blay of her kish, as she ran for to Soth's phage, her curiosity, and maybe so, but she found herself sack full of swart goody quicken shoon, and small elegant brogues, so rich in sweat, blurry works in Hurdlesford, silent. 566 A.D. At this time it fell out that a brazen-locked damsel grieved sobrala solas, because that puppet, her minion, was ravished of her by the ogre Propius Pius. Bloody wars and Baliocleachbali. 1132 A.D. 2 sons at an hour were born until a goodman and his hag. These sons called themselves Caddy and Primus. Primus was a santryman and drilled all decent people. Caddy went to wine-house and wrote a piece of farce, blotty words for Dublin. Somewhere, apparently, in the gin and gold gap between Antediluvius and Anna Dominant, the copyist must have fled with his scroll. The billy flood rose, or an elk charged him, or the soul-trip whirled white from the excelessimost Hyperion bolt in some. Earth spake, or the Daneman Gallus banged pan the blitty Durand. The scribicide then and there is let off under Old's code with some fine covered by 6 marks or 9 pins in metalman for the sake of his labour's dross, while it will be only now and again in our rear of our area, as an upshoot of military and civil engagements, that a gynaecure was let on to the scaffold for taking that same fine sum covertly by meddlement with the drawers of his neighbour's wife, the drawers of his neighbour's safe. Now, after all that tar-fatched and peregrine and dignanter Clare lift we our ears, eyes of the darkness, from the tome of Liber Lividus, and how plausibly ironical, all dimmering dawns and glommering grades, self-stretches afore us the Friedland's plain. Lean neath stone pine the pastor lies with his crook. Young pricket with pricket's sister nibbleth on returned viridities. Amid her rocking grasses the herb trinity shams lowliness. Sky up is of ever grey, thus too for donkeys' years. Since the bouts of Hibier and Herriman, the cornflowers have been staying at Ballymun. The dusk glows has choosed out Goatstown's hedges. Tulips have pressed to gather them by sweet rush. townland of twined lights, the white thorn and the red thorn have fairly gayed the May valleys of Knockmaroon, and though for rings round them during a chilliad of periheligangs, the Formorians have brittled the tuath of the Danes, and the oxman has been pestered by the firebugs of the joints, have thrown up jerry-building to the Kevinses and Little on the Green, his child's father to the city, hear, and laughters. These pack-sealing buttonholes have quadrilled across the centuries, and whiff now waft to us, fresh and made of all smiles, as on the eve of Kill-Our-Who. The babblers with their thangas vain have been, Confucium hold them. They were and went, thigging thugs were, and hound him song toms were, and comely nordrules were, and polyfool fiancies. Men have thawed, clerks have shrummed, the blonde has sought out the brune. Else kiss thou may, mean carry piggy, and the donsal dames have countered with the hellfish fellows. Who else tongue cono, a space of dumbbell silly, and they fell upon one another, and themselves they have fallen. And still now a nights, and by nights of yore, do all bold fleurs of the field to their shy fawn lovers say only, Cull me ere I will to thee, and but a little later, pluck me whilst I blush. Well may they wilt marry, and profusedly blush, betroth, for that saying is as old as the Howits. Lave a well a while in a wheelbarrow, isn't it the truth I'm telling ye? To have fins and flippers that shimmy and shake. Timmy can tempt her, tempting Tam, flappity flippity flippow, hop. In the name of Ainham this carl, on the corpsey and pelted thongs a parth alone, who the Joe bigger be he, forshapen his pig-made hog's head, shrunk his broad foot, he hath lock toes, this short shins, and obiode that's pectoral, his mamma muscles most mysterious. Is it slaking duncheon out of something's brain pan? Meseemeth a dragon man. He is almost on the Cape Wave by here. Is Comstipple Saxon, be it Junipery or February, Marix or Ailbrill, or the ramping riots of Purios and Furios. What a queer sort of man! It is evident the Mickandaddy lets we overstep his fire defences in these crowds of slit-socked marg bones cave. He can perhaps prosperous the pillory way to Hercules' pillar. Come on, fool puterful. Hosier woman blown monk sore. Excuse us, Geordie guy. You taller day Donsk, and you talkative Scowegian? You spiggity Anglice? You phonio Saxo? Clear also? 'Tis a jute. Let us swap hats and excheck a few strong verbs, weak old cheather. Yap yazzer the bast, the blurry creeks. Jute. Utah. Mutt. Most pleasant. Jute. Are you Jeff? Mutt. Some herds. Jute. But you're not Jeff Mute. Mutt. No ho. Only an utterer. Jute. Whoa. What is the matter with you? Mutt. I became a stone astronomer. Jute. What a horrible thing to be cause. How, Mutt? Mutt. A pot the bottle, third. Jute. Whose pottle? Wherein? Mutt. The inns of Dunstarf. where it oozed ought to be hay. Jute. You that side your voice are almost inedible to me. Become a bitskin more wiseable, as if I were you. Mutt. Has off. Has a tansy. Boohoo, boo usurp. I trample from wrath in mine minds when I rim. Jute. One eye gone black. Bisons is bisons. Let me for all your hesitancy cross your qualm with drink guilt. Here have sylvan coin, a piece of oak. Guineas has good for you. Mutt. Louis, how wouldn't I not know it? The intelligible great cloak of Cedric's silky shag, ked merely faulty rices for one dabbling bar. Old Grilsy Grousey, he was poached on in that egg-tentacle spot. Here, where the livery's monomarch, there, where the miser's money Finnegan pass. Jute, simply because, as Taciturn tells, our wrong story shortener, he dumptied the whole barrow of rubbages onto soil here. Mutt, just how a pudding stone in at the brook sells by a river pool. Jute, Lord o' Marshy, with what for a nurse like? Mutt, Samuel with a bowl on a clomtorf. Rux rorum rex rum. I could snore to him of a spoomy horn, with his woolsy side in, by the neck I am sitting on, did Brian's double in. Jute, boiled oil and raw honey on me when I can burely forstand a word from Sturk to Finnick in such a patwat as your Rotterdam rotter. Unheard of and obscene. Caught a fair meal. See you doomed. Mutt, quite a gream. But save a sec. Walk a dun blink roundward this albitile, and you'll scull see how old ye plain of my elders, hunt free of ours, where wont to wear wimbro to pee-wee o'er the saltings, where Wilby city by law of Isthman, where by a droit of signory, ice flow was from his inn to the beginning to the finish there punct. Let ere him row mere merge two races, sweet and brack, mothering rue, hither cracking eastwards. They are insurgents, hence cool at ebb they requiesce. Countlessness of live stories have nether fallen by this plague, flick as snowflakes, litters from aloft, like a wasp wizard of all werewolves. Now we are all home to the mound. Isg is air from aird. Pride, O pride, thy prize. Jute, stench. Mutt, fiat fuit. Here and under lie they, large by the small, and every night life also the strange. Babylon, the great grand hotel, with Tittle house, Alp on Irwig, drunken on Ild, like as equal to an equal in this sound cemetery, which is Liebes love. Jute, Smorde. Mutt, Meldenlees, by the fierce wave behotted, Despond's sung, and Thanasestros mound have swallowed them all. 'Tis earth of years is not save brick dust, and being humus the same returns. He who runes may read it on all fours, Ox, or Nucus, or Tricus, or grumbling. Sell me sooth the fair for humbling, lady fair, but speak it all softly. Moulder, be in your wished. Jute, wished. Mutt, the giant forficules with Annie the Fay. Jute, how? Mutt, here is Viking's grab. Jute, what? Mutt, are you astonished? Jute, you? Jute, I am thunderstruck, thing mud. Stoop, if you're absent-minded to this clay book, what curious of signs, please stoop, in this Aleph bed, can you read, since we and thou had it out already, its world? It is the same told of all, many, miscegenations on miscegenations, till they lived and laughed and loved and left, forcing. Thy thing done is given to the Medes and Porsons. The Meandertale, a loss and again, of our old Heidenberg in the days when hidden clouds walked the earth, in the ignorance that implies impression, that knits knowledge, that finds the name form, that whets the wits, that conveys contacts, that sweetens sensation, that drives desire, that adheres to attachment, that dogs death, bitches birth, that entails the issuance of existentiality, but with a rush out of his navel reaching the reredos of Ramesbatham. A terriculus vively on view this, queer, and it continues to be quaky, a hatch, a Celt, an ear share the porquos of which was to be Casse the earth crust at all of ours. Forwards, bagawards, like Yoxen at the turnpat. Here say figurines bellicose arming and mounting and arming bellicose figurines. See here, Futork, this little effigy is for a fire flung called a flinter fall. Face at the east, oh I fay, face at the waist, ho you fie, up wap and dump 'em, face to face. When apart the petit does duty for the hollows, we soon grow to use of an all for bit. Here, please to stoop, are silver-incued petit peas of quite a peculiar interest, in as little as they are the pellets that make the tom-tommies pay roll. Right rank Ragnar rocks, and with these rocks orangotangos wrangled rough and ringo wrong. Wisha, why did ya? Thick as for thorn, that's thuck is its doyle, like Thumbfool's traitor thrust for vengeance. What a nice old mess it all makes, a midden-hide horde of objects, olives, beets, kimmels, dollies, Alfreds, Beatties, Cormacs, and Daltons. Owlets' eggs, oh, stoop to please, are here, creakish from age, and all now quite epsiline. And old worldy wobblers, how'd worth a wipe of grass. See the snake worms every side. Our Dublin is swarming in snakes. They came to our island from triangular Tochiater, beyond the wet prairie, reared up in the midst of the cargan of prohibitive pomifruits, but along landed Paddy Whippingham, and his garbage cans cotched up the creeps of them pricker than our woos there. Out of man could quick up her what's-that's. Some divide and some the lot, but the tally turns round the same ballafusins, racketeers and bootleggers. Axe on thrax, axe and wise, one by one place, one by B3, ditto, and one B4. Two nurses, one, make a plausible free, an item behind, starting off with a big boa and three-legged calvers and iver-grain jadises and a message in their mouths, and 100-field unleavened weight of liberarum queue to con and we can till all horrors eve. with a Neanderthal tale to unfurl, and with what an end in view of squatter and anti-squatter and post-prawny anti-squatter, to say to us to be every Tim, Nick, and Larry of us, sons of the sod, sons, little sons, yea, and Lee little sons, when us is not to be, every Sue, Sis, and Sally of us, doctors of Nan, accusative ansire, damn to infinities. True, there was in Nilos Diebos as yet no lump and papier in the waste, and might mountain pen still groaned for the mices to let flee. All was of ancientry. You gave me a boot, signs on it, and I ate the wind. I quizzed you a quid, wit for what? And you went to the quad. But the world, mind, is, was, and will be writing its own runes forever, man. And all matters that fall under the ban of our infrarational senses for the last milch camel, the heart vein throbbing between the eyebrows, has still to moor before the tomb of his cousin Charmaine, where his date is tethered by the palm that's hers. But the horn, the drinking, the day of dread are not now. A bone, a pebble, a ram's skin. Chip them, chap them, cut them up always. Leave them to Tarakook in the muttering pot. The Gutten Morgue with his Cro-Magnon charter, tinting fast in great primer, must once for omnibus step rock-rick red out of a wordpress, else is there no virtue more in alcohol. And for that, the rapt one warns, is what paper is made of, hides and hints and misses and prints, till ye finally, though not yet end-like, meet with the acquaintance of Mr. Typus, Mistress Tope, and all the little tip-topies, fill stop. So you need hardly spell me how every word will be bound over to carry 70 topsy-tipsical reading throughout the book of Dublin's giant. May his forehead be darkened with mud who would sunder, till dareth Mahamahoma, who oped it closeth thereof the door. Cry not yet. There's many a smile to Nondum, with city maids per man, sir, and the park so dark by the kindle-light. But look what you have in your hand, self. The movables are scrawling in motions, marching all of them ago, in pit-pat and zing-zang, for every busy earwig's a bit of a story-tale to tell. One's upon a time, and two's behind, their lettuce leap, and three's among the shrubbery beds. And the chicks picked their teeths, and the donkey he began. You can ask her ass if he believes it. And so cutting me only wallops have heels. That one of a wife with 40 barnets, for then was the age when hoops ran high. Of a Noark and a chap wife, of a palm full grave and a family of levity, or of golden youths that wanted gelding, or of what the mischief made a man do. Mal dad he was reverse aghast by the frisk of her frasks and her pretty perique. May fay, she's lagay, that snaky woman, from that trippieri toe expectant pellic. Well, Valentine eyes, she's the very best when he blows, nay on good. Flow in, ho-hor. So it's sure it was her, not we. But lay it easy, gentlemen. We are in rearing of a Norwig. So weeny, teeny, come see, her with if ye newt. Listen. I am doing it. Hark, the corn entreats, and the larp notes brittle. It was of a night late, lang time agone, in old Staineld, when Adam was delving and his maid Ameen spinning water silts. When Moke Mounty Naughty Man was every bully in the first little river robber that ever had her ain way, everybody to his love-saking eyes, and every billy lived to love with every biddy else, and Jarl van Hoother had his burnt head high up in his lamp house, laying cold hands on himself. And his two little Jiminies, cousins of Aaron, Christopher and Hilary, were kicky-heeling their dummy on the oilcloth floor of his homerig castle and earthen house. And be dermot, who come to the keep of his inn? Only the niece of his in-law, the Prankqueen. And the Prankqueen pulled a rosy one, and made her wit 4 nints the dower, and she lit up, and Fireland was ablaze. And spoke she to the door, in her petty Perusian, mark the wads, why do I am a look like a passive porter-piece? And that was how the skirmishes began. But the door hand-worded her grace in Dooch no sow, shut! So her grace O'Malice kid-snapped up to Jiminy Christopher, and into the shandy westerness she rain. And Jarl van Hoother wirelessed after her with soft dove's gal, stop, thief, stop, come back to my earing, stop. But she swore it did to him, unlikely hud. And there was a Branwell that same Sabbath night of falling angles somewhere in Erio. And the Prankqueen went for her 40 years' walk in Torlamond, and she washed the blessings of the love spots off the Jiminy with soap Sulliver Suddles, and she had her 4 owlers masters for to touch him his tickles, and she converted him to the one shore all good, and he became a loaderman. So then she started to rain and be Red Tom. She was back again at Jarl van Hoother's in a brace of steamers, and the Jiminy with her in her pinafrond lace at night at another time. And where did she come but to the bar of his Bristolry? And Jarl van Hoother had his Barthala bruised heels drowned in his ceremot, shaking warm hands with himself, and the Jiminy Hilary and the dummy in their first infancy were below on the tear sheet, ringing and coughing like broder in Hister. And the Prankqueen nipped the paley one and lit up again, and red cocks flew flackering from the hill combs. And she made her witter before the wicked, saying, mark the twy, why do I am a look like 2 passive porter-piece? And shut, says the wicked, hand-wording her majesty. So her majesty aforethought set down a Jiminy and took up a Jiminy, and all the lily pathways to woman's land she rain. And Jarl van Hoother bleathered after her with a loud Finnegan, stop, dome, stop, come back to my earring, stop. But the Prankqueen swore did, am liking it. And there was a wild old Granwell that Lawrencey night of star shooting somewhere in Erio. And the Prankqueen went for her 40 years' walk and turned the meme, and she punched the curses of Crom Cruel with a nail of a top into the Jiminy, and she had her 4 loxical monitrix to touch him his tears, and she provorted him to the one certain Osicure, and he became a Christian. And then she started raining, and in a pair of changers, be dumped her. She was back again at Jarl van Hoother's, and the Larry Hill with her under her abromet. And why would she halt at all, if not by the ward of his mansion home of another nice lace for the 3rd charm? And Jarl van Hoother had his hurricane hips up to his pantry box, ruminating in his hold-ford stomachs, dar, oh dar. And the Jiminy tougher trees and the dummy were beloved on the watercloth, kissing and spitting and roguing and poguing like knave poultry and naive bride in their 2nd infancy. And the Prankqueen picked a blank and lit out, and the valley lay twinkling. And she made her wittest in front of the archway of triumph, asking, mark the tris, why do I am a lookalike 3 passive porter-piece? But that was how the skirmishes end-upped. For like the Campbells a-coming with a fork lance of lightning, Jarl van Hoother Bowen urges himself, the old terror of the dames, came hip-hop handy-hap out through the pike-open's archway of his 3-shotted castles, in his broad ginger hat, and his civic collar, and his all-abuff hemmed, and his bull-bragging socks and gloves, and his lad-broke breeks, and his catgut bandolier, and his fur-framed panuncular combots like a rawed, yelling, grue-breen orangeman in his violet indignation, to the whole length of the strength of his bowman's bill. And he clapped his rude hand to his issy hitch, and he ordered in his thick speech spoke for her to shut up shop, dappy. And the duppy shut the shutter clap. Percor huskerung bargara yagarokor leor grom gremming hung hertherum honor diddle lilla filla bummela nunna cunnanan. And they all drank free. For one man in his armour was a fat match always for any girl's undershirts. And that was the first piece of illiteratized porthery in all the flaming, floody, flatuous world. How Kersey the Titler made a sweet unclose to the Norwalian capital. Saw for shalt thou see, betune ye in be. The Prankqueen was to hold her dummy ship, and the Jimimies was to keep the peace wave, and Van Hoother was to get the wind up. Thus, the hearsomeness of the burgher felicitates the whole of the palace.
O Phoenix culprit, ex nihilo malo comes Michaelmas bonum, hill rill once in company, billeted, less be proud of, breast high and bestride. Only for that these will not breathe upon Norenson and Irenian the secretest of their sore slosness. Quari silex, Humphrey no answa, undi gentian festines, Livia no answa. Vulcancap is on him, frowned. All the Orient, he would eavesdrop were it most at hand, were a din of battles in the far ear. Murk, his veils are darkening, with lips she lispeth to him all to time of Dutch on Dutch and Tau on Tau. She, he, she, ho, she, ha, to la. Herr Fluke, if he could bad twig her, impalpabant he appears. The sound waves are his buffeteers. They tromp him with their trumps. The wave of Rory and wave of Hooshed and the wave of ha-ha-hard. And the wave of never heed them horse luggers and listle to mine. Landloft by his neighbour mistress, in perpet petrified in his offsprung. Sabs and suckers, the mourning pipers could tell him to his face back, the loathly one whose lobe we are devourers of, how but for his hold halibut, or her to her powder puff, the lip one whose libe we drink at, how biff for her tiddywink of a windfall, our breed and washer givers. There would not be a holy spire on the town, nor a vestal flouting in the dock. Nay, to make plain of ours, not a you nor an I to play cash in Norville Nilbud by swamplight, nor a tool o tall o toll, and naughty hint to the convenience. He dug in and he dug out by the skill of his tilth for himself and all belonging to him, and he sweated his crew beneath the auspice for the living, and he earned his dread, that dragon volant. And he made louse for us and delivered us to boll weevils, amen. That mighty liberator, unfru chikta uru rukru, and begad he did, our ancestor most worshipful, till he thought of a better one in his windower's house, with that blush mantle upon him from earsend to earsend, and would again could whispering grasses wake him, and may again when the fiery bird disembers. And will again, if so be sooth by elder to his youngers shall be said. Have you wines for my wedding? Did you bring bride and bedding? Will you whoop for my deading as a wake? Oh, squeal boggum! Anna Mochadur, did you drink me Dornell? Now be aisy, good Mr. Finnegan, and take your leisure like a god on pension, and don't be walking abroad. Sure, you'd only use yourself in Heliopolis now, the way your roads in Cape Levaster, and that winding there after the Calvary, the Northumbrian, and the Fives Barrow and Wadling's raid, and the Bower Moor, and wet your feet, maybe, and the foggy dews abroad. Meeting some sick old bankrupt on the Cotterick's donkey with his shoe hanging clank-a-ka-chankata, or the slut snoring with an impure infant on a bench. 'Twould turn you against life, so 'twould. And the weather's that mean, too. To part from Devlin is hard as Nugent knew. To leave the clean tanglesome one lushier than its neighbour enfranchisable fields. But let your ghost have no grievance. You're better off, sir, where you are, prime-signed in the full of your dress, blood-eagle waistcoat and all, remembering your shapes and sizes on the pillow of your baby curls, under your sycamore by the Keld water, where the Tories' clay will scare the varmints, and have all you want, pouch, gloves, flask, bricket, kerchief, ring, and amberula, the whole treasure of the pyre, in the land of souls with hummin and broin baroque, and pole o' loanin, and no bucket to nozzler, and the Genghis Khan. And we'll be coming here, the umber players, to rake your gravel and bringing you presents, won't we, Fenians? And it isn't our spittle we'll stint you of, is it, druids? No shabby little imagettes, penny dirts, and dodge my eyes you buy in the sooty stores, but offerings of the field, meliodaries, that Dr. Faherty, that medicine man, taught the good in you. Poppy Pop's passport out, and honey is the holiest thing ever was, hive, comb, and earwax, the food for glory. Mind you keep the pot on your nectar cup may yield too light. And some goat's milk, sir, like the maid used to bring you. Your fame is spreading like Basilico's ointment since the Fintan lailers piped you over border, and there's whole households beyond the Bothnians, and they calling names after you. The men here's always talking of you sitting around the pig's cheeks under the sacred roof tree, over the bowls of memory where every hallow holds a hallow, with a pledge to the drengs in the Salmon House, and admiring to our superhilelach, where the palm sweet on high is the mark of your monument. All the toothpicks ever Arenesians chewed are on chips chipped from that battery block. If you were bowed and soiled and let down itself from the honour of the load, it was that paddy planters might pack up plenty, and when you were undone in every point for the lapse of goddesses, you showed our labour lasses how to free was easy. The game old gun they do be saying, skull. That was a planter for you, a spicer of them all. Big gog, but he was, the G.O.G. He's done and gone now, and we're after finding the sores of his Serek, but peace to his great limbs, the bud hawk, and the last league long rest of him, with the million-candled eye of Tusker sweeps the Moylian main. There was never a warlord in great Arians and brethren, no, nor in all Pike County like you, they say. No, nor a king, nor an ard-king, bun-king, sun-king, or hung-king, that you could fell in Elm Street 12 urchins couldn't ring round and hoist high for the stone that Liam failed. Who but a MacCallagmore, the rise of your fortunes, and the phony men at the funeral to compass our cause? It was you, Hogglebully itself, and most thriftily like you, was taking water still, with all, where was your like to lay the cable, or who was the batter could better your grace? Magnus Macaulay can take you off to the pure perfection, and Leatherbags Reynolds tries your shuffle and cut. But as Hopkins puts it, you were the pale eggy-naggy and a kiss to the tilly up. We calls him the journey all buggle off since he went Jerusalem faring in Arcia Minor. You had a gamier cock than Pete, Jake, or Martin, and your arch goose of geese stubbied for all angels' day. So may the priest of 7 worms in scalding tabboil, Papa Vestre, come never a near you as your hair grows weeter beside the Liffeys that's in heaven. Hep, hep, hurrah there, hero. 7 times there, too, we salute you. The whole bag of kits, falcon plumes, and jackboots encloted is where you flung them that time. Your heart is in the system of the she-wolf, and your crested head is in the tropic of Capra Capron. Your feet are in the cloister of Virgo. Your oh-la-la is in the region of Saos. And that's as sure as you were born. Your shuck tick swell. And that there Texas is tow linen. The lonesome roam to Lafayette is ended. Drop in your tracks, babe. Be not unrested. The head burial watcher of the temple of Isid, Totem Kalman, saith, I know thee, Medarjar. I know thee, salvation boat. For we have performed upon thee, thou abomination, who comest ever without being invoked, whose coming is unknown. All the things which the company of the precentors and of the grammarians of Christpatrick's ordered concerning thee in the matter of the work of thy tombing. How of the shipmen steep wall? Everything's going on the same, or so it appeals to all of us in the old homestead there. Here. Coughing's all over the sanctuary. Bad scrant to me, influenza. The horn for breakfast, one a gong for lunch and dinner chime. As popular as when Belly the First was king and his members met in the diet of man. The same shop slop in the window, Jacob's letter crackers and Dr. Tipple's V cocoa, and the East Esward's dissipated soup beside Mother Siegel's syrup. Meat took a drop when Riley Parsons died, failed. Coal's short, but we've plenty of bog in the yard. And barley's up again, be grain to it. The lads is attending school in essence regular, sir, spelling bees knees with half a tansy and turning out tables by mud application. All for the books and never pegging smashers after Tombo, Glass Arson, Timmy the Tosser. 'Tis really the truth. No, isn't it, Roman Patriarchs? You were double-jointed janitor the morning they were delivered, and you'll be a granfer yet entirely when the right hand seizes what the love arm knows. Kevin's just a dot, with his cherub cheek, chalking augurs on walls, and his little lamp and school belt and bag of nicks, playing postman's knock round the diggins. And if the sheep were milk, you could leave his ode by his side. But, louse sake, the devil does be in that nerps of a Jerry sometimes. The Tarantan plaid boy, making incostive income out of the last of his lavings, and writing a blue streak over his boar-stay shirt. Hetty Jane's a child of Mary. She'll be coming, for they're sure to choose her, in her white of gold, with a torch of ivy to rekindle the flame on Felix Day. But Essie Shanahan has let down her skirts. You remember Essie? In our Luna's convent, they called her Holly Mary, her lips were so ruddy-berry, and Pia de Pilurabelle when the Red Miners' riots was on about her. Were I a clerk designate to the Williams Woods manufacturers, I'd poster those powters on every jam in the town. She's making her rep at Lanners twice nightly, with the tabourine tam-tammers of the whirly-gig McGee's. Beats that cachucha flat. 'Twould dilate your heart to go. Easy now, you decent man, with your knees, and lie quiet and repose your honour's lordship. Hold him here, Ezekiel Irons, and may God strengthen you. It's our warm spirits, boys, he's sporting. Demetrius O'Flanagan, cork that cure for the Clancarties. You swamped enough since Portobello to float the Pomeroy. Fetch na here, Pat Coy, and fetch no you, Pam Yates. Be neither angst of Ramowich. Here's Lumbos. Where's Mrs. Swadlam? Where Mrs. Lodge none? Where mystery's poor kind on? Oh, sleepy, so be yet. I've an eye on queer Behan and old Kate and the butter, trust me. She'll do no juggly-wuggly with her war souvenir postcards to help to build me Muriel tippers. I'll trip your traps. As sure there. And we put on your clock again, sir, for you. Did or didn't we share stutterers? So you won't be up a stump entirely, nor shed your remnants, the stern wheels crawling strong. I seen your missus in the hall, like the queen of air. Ah, it's herself that's fine, too. Don't be talking. Shirks ends. You story and happy chap longa me, Harry chap story and grass woman, ploughly good trout. Shakes hands. Dibble a hay work wrong with her, only her Lexus salig. Bode Tib does be yawning and smirking cat's hours on the Pollux' woolly round tabouret cushion, watching her sewing a dream together, the tailor's daughter, stitched to her last. Or while waiting for dinner to fire the enchantment, decoying more nesters to fall down the flute. It's an avalanche that blows no pussy good food. If you only were there to explain the meaning, best of men, and talk to her nice and gold and silver, the lips would moisten once again, as when you drove with her to Findrinny Fair. What with reins here and ribbons there, all your hands were employed, so she never knew. Was she on land or at sea, or swooped through the blue like a winger's bride? She was flirtsome then, and she's fluttersome yet. She can second a song and adore as a scandal when the past post's gone by. Fond of a concertina in pairs passing when she's had her 40 winks for supper after can and ably dimpling and is in her Merlin chair assotted, reading her Evening World. To see it smarts, full lengths or swaggers, news, all the news, death, a leopard, kills fella in Fez, angry steens at Stormont. Still a star with her lucky is going aways. Opportunity fair with the Chinese floods. And we hear these rosy rumors. Ding tams he noise about all same Harry chap. She's seeking her way, a chuckle, in and out of their serial story. Les Loaves of Selkstar at Pervenche. Freely adapted to the No Virgin's Viv. There'll be bluebells blowing in salty sepulchres the night she signs her final tear. The end. But that's a world of ways away. Till tract law's time. No silver ash or switches for that one. While flattering candles flare. Anastasia, how are you? Were there waste in the noblest, says Adams and Sons, the would-pay actioneers. Her hair's as brown as ever it was, and wavy and wavy. Repose you now, Finn, no more. For be that same-sake substitute of a hooky salmon, there's already a big rowdy ram lad at random on the premises of his haunt of the hungered Bordels, as it is told me. Shop illicit, flourishing like a Lord Major, or a bo-bo-bay-boom, litting flop and deadlop, a loose, to lee but lifting a benbrack of yard along, evo, on a breezy side, for shome, the height of Brewster's chimney, and as broad below as Phineas Barnum, Humphrey's share of the shoulders is sinking on him, he's such a grandfather, with a pocked knife in pickle that's a fly fired in 3 nice little clinkers, 2 twilling bugs and 1 midget pucelle. And either he cursed and recursed, and was ever seen doing what your 4-footler saw, or he was never done seeing what you cool pigeons know. Weep the clouds a boon for smile down witnesses, and that'll do now about the fairy he's and the fairly she's. Though is it fiblet to Zephyroth and Artsa zoom it round her heavens forever? Creator he has created for his creatured ones a creation. White Manathoid, red Theatrocrat, and all the pink prophets call Halathing. Very much so. But however 'twas, 'tis sure for one thing what Sheriff Torag vouch fors, and Macpeak makes put out, that the man, Hom the Cheapener-esque, overseen as we thought him, yet a worthy of the name, came at his time-coloured place where we live in our parochial firmament one tide on another, with a bum rush in a hull of a wherry, the twin turbane Dow, the bay for Dibbling, this archipelago's first visiting schooner, with a Wicklow pattern waxen wench at her prow for a figurehead, the Dead Sea dugong dripping from his depths, and has been repreaching himself like a fish mummer these 60 years, ever since his chevy by his side, aidy and aid, growing whorish under the turban, and changing cane sugar into cellulose starch. Tut cess to him, as also that, bat in the bulky hood he bloats about when inebriated. Our old offender was humile, commune, and insectuous from his nature, which you may gauge after the bynames was put under him, the lashons of languages, Honain suit and praisers be, and totalisating him, even Hamishim and Himishim, that he, sober serious, he is and no counter he, who will be ultimately responsible for the hubbub caused in Edinburgh. Okay, I'm going to stop short because my throat is dry and I don't have water at hand. So we'll pick up at the top of page 30. Oh my gosh, I finished it. Cool. Okay, that's the end of chapter 1. See you next time.